Blog Talk Radio.
I'll take the night, 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 I'll take the night. 'Cause you have a heart that's divine, deserving you all, girl, you're mine. Eternity's ours, yeah, you're mine. We'll live a life, I'll take the night.
Welcome to Take the Night, and I'm your host, Boyd, with co-hosts B. Shine and Angelica Martinez. And it's Monday, and welcome back. The title for tonight's show is Androgyny, the Nature of the Soul. So, yeah. What's going on, Angelica? How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm honestly a little tired. I'm tired today. I didn't get my little cat nap before the show. I've been editing this video all day, literally all day. So, and then I had to run around a little bit. So I literally just stopped doing something else, and now I'm here. So, but I'm all. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. We can get it crack-a-lackin'. So I don't know where D is quite yet, but I did speak to him earlier, so he should be here. But, yeah, so tonight we're going to talk about androgyny regarding the soul. And we were going to do this Friday, but then I woke up in the morning and called Angelica and woke her up super early because I wasn't conscious of the time difference. That's pretty vast. And then I changed the topic. So, yeah, we're doing it tonight. And it should be cool. I'm interested to see where it'll all go because I have no clue. Yeah.
I really briefly kind of, talked about it, when we were going to do it. And, to me, a lot of people are trying to understand, what the soul is and being here on this physical plane.
Time out, lady. We got some feedback over there. You're near a computer?
No.
I don't know what that was. Yeah, I hear you. I just wanted to make sure you were clear for everybody. Hey, let me know if I go out at some point, too, because on our last show, in the recording, I go out for like 2 minutes. Well, not like 2 minutes, but like a minute. And I'm like, how did that happen?
You were talking. I was like, wait, did something happen with his phone? Did he accidentally mute himself? And then you came back and you were still talking. I was like, okay, I don't know if that was just me or if everybody did.
It happened everywhere, and I felt some kind of way because, I listened back to the show, and I was like, hold up. I was in the middle of something right there. you know? I was feeling some kind of way about that. But yeah, continue.
But yeah, being here on the physical plane and in a specific body, a lot of people are experiencing different things and viewing, sexuality in a certain way. I know, reflecting on things that I saw around me in my environment as a child and seeing how they are now, it's like, they're putting a lot of sexual things in the forefront, and children are really being presented with all this information. It's like, well, how do I know? What am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to be? Am I a girl or am I a boy? And even with all this transgender and homosexuality, it's a big question and big thing for people to discuss with their children, or actually just people in general. But it is something that really gets down to the core of people, and, you know, it's always an individual thing. And talking about it, especially with children, can be very, very difficult. You know, because as adults, sometimes we have a hard time understanding it, you know. And with all these gender-specific, you know, programs that have been instilled in us, it's really, like, hard to really discuss and be like, you know, you can do anything that you want, but as a woman, you can't do this, or as a man, you can't do that. And it's like, why, you know? So to really get in touch with yourself and understand that you as a soul being manifested in this physical form for a reason, you know, is really up to you and how you express that. And, you know, for myself, I know that I have a very strong masculine energy, and I've always been questioned, like, are you gay? Do you like women? It's like, no. You know, I just happen to have a very strong masculine type of energy, and that also coincides with, you know, I was raised around, you know, a lot of men. And, you know, I took that energy with me and didn't let, like, certain things keep me bound to my sex. So, you know, even in that, I still had to understand, you know, why I came here as a female. You know, it's because it's like I came here to experience life as a female, you know, and express that. But I also understand that there is that balance of the masculine and feminine energy within myself. And, you know, that is always something that I, you know, deal with on a daily basis, is finding that balance between, you know, the masculine and the feminine. And, you know, expressing myself to my best ability. Because it's an everyday thing, you know. So.
Yes, you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Oh, because you stopped. I'm like, where? Did she go somewhere? Where you completed your thought?
I completed that thought for that moment, yes.
Okay, yeah. No, I definitely feel you. You know, the way I'm going to start off approaching it from my perspective is I'm going to take it back to this thing we're in, right? This multiverse, this thing, right? And how that thing is complete, even in its oxymoron nature. Like, there's a lot of things about this universe, this multiverse we live in, that can try to make sense of, but there really is no logic in it all. We're floating, right? But the one thing we can say is in any creation story, there's a whole being, a complete being that begins to basically divide itself, divide aspects of itself. Earth, okay, so if we're made in the image of this whole being, which it's not the body, it's the soul aspect. The soul is in the image of it. The body is a fraction of this whole being we're made in the image of. So our soul is a whole composite of us. However, when we come into this earth plane that has these regulations, and I'm not talking about regulations set by man, I'm talking about these earth regulations. Like, when you come through the womb, you're either male or female, other than some rare scenarios where your body, you may end up being a hermaphrodite or something like that. For the most part, though, the system of earth is in place to create duality. So you come in male or female. But before you chose to come do this school called Earth, before we did, right, we were a whole being, an energy that has no conception of gender, but does have a conception of polarity in an energetic sense, negative and positive. Not like bad, this is good. No, I'm talking about like energy, like AC/DC type shit, negative and positive, you know? And that isn't going to leave us just because we come through into this earth plane. So that's why this is the soul, and part of the journey of the human being is to when you come into earth and you're off balance, because we're going to be off balance, because remember, we're whole, and then we come play down here to learn and find out why we're here, but to find balance. And that's, the Holy Spirit, right? These words that people use, and to be whole down here through this journey of being in this flesh body where every day we look at ourselves, we see one thing, and then, we have to deal with that. But in some places of the realm, you'll see the evidence being left behind from those that decoded it, that the complete human being is going to be, in a sense of getting it, because we're down here trying to get as close to our soul form as possible under limitations. So within these limitations, the closest representation of a being that gets close to that in this physical plane is always portrayed physically from an androgynous point of view. However, that doesn't mean that, I'm not saying just because a person is androgynous that they're in alignment with their higher self, their soul. I'm not saying that. I'm saying from those that understand the complete totality of what's going on down here, that's how they'll show you. And where you get it the most, because you don't get it often. And remember, when we say androgyny, I'm not talking about sexual orientation. That's just how it tends to fractal itself and manifest in the physical realm as, people liking, both of the sexes. That's everything spiritual gets broken down in the physical plane into these separations, but they all represent that pure form. I'm not saying anything's wrong if you're like both of the sexes. I'm just explaining something. So, but anyways, where you get the presented in plain sight representation of androgyny and deity, where I found it was with the Hindu pantheon. So if you're a person and you want to go look at that for yourself to fact check or some shit like that, right? You can go look into Hindu deities, and you'll be able to see that they represent a lot of the deities as androgyny, as androgynous, because that's just a physical representation of what they are spiritually. It's not the other way around. It's not, I'm androgynous, so I must be in touch with my higher self and my soul. No. That's just, that can just be a costume, just because I dress up like a Ghostbuster doesn't mean I'm a Ghostbuster. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
So deity in those forms, whether, it's Krishna or, these people, you'll see that androgynous element there because they are beings. Remember, we write things down and draw pictures to try to explain these spiritual concepts to one another the best way we can. The thing is over time, as the elders got whacked by, rogue Romans and Greeks or whoever, Persians or whoever, it could have been Africans too, who knows, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some of the ways to interpret these things died with them. So when some look at these androgynous beings, they don't know how to interpret it anymore. But it was simply just showing someone, just like how you'd show a kid something, what completion looks like. The Western world do this with the Baphomet. That's how they show you androgyny is supreme. They just throw a lot more pizzazz up in there, if I may say, to kind of throw off onlookers that don't belong where they're at. Because if you don't know, if you haven't been initiated into it, you're going to have a boogeyman effect go in on you. You're going to look at it and be like, oh my gosh, it's the devil. Like Bobby Boucher's mama, football is the devil. Macaroni is the devil. You're going to be like that because you don't understand what it's showing. Not only that, but the occultist knows to, create these fronts to hide the essence, whether it be putting things in reverse and stuff like that. So it's showing you androgyny, though, is my point, because the complete being is balancing the scales of their personal energetic frequencies, which are, when remember, you're a spiritual being having a human experience. I'm sure everybody's heard that one, right? So in your spiritual form, as an energetic form, you're not like, worried about biased gender because you know that we're in a fractal ramp. That that's completion. You're complete. You're not separate. You're both. And this is represented in the form of when you have when man and woman comes together in the traditional sense of procreation, right? There's completion there, right? The Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, which is the female that they just decided to conveniently leave out, right? Because the woman comes into the realm tuned closer to being whole in a more pure world where people aren't, playing games with the energy frequencies of people with outside influences and stuff like that. The woman, she was always very sensitive and nurturing to her children and to whoever she was intimate with, but would also be able to grab that spear or whatever was used in that culture and whoop some ass. That balance there. When even in today's society, you see that males tend to have problems showing affection. They stuck regarding that. It's a real big problem there. The world we live in that has done a good job of creating this illusion of masculinity. When the realm we live in, I'm talking about not the earth realm, but the heavenly realm. The heavenly realm has no conception of male and female. It just is. It's experiencing the elements any given time. It may express itself masculinely. It may express itself femininely in terms of energetic manifestations of the negative and the positive. It's not a sexual thing. It can be, but not in terms of the greater idea of what's going on here. So, yeah, we're down here to find that balance within ourselves, and ultimately, since the physical realm plays out these higher spiritual concepts, there's a person somewhere understanding, like, wait a minute, I feel a little bit like a dude, or wait a minute, I feel a little bit like a woman. And that's that energy form of you saying, hey, I exist, because before you came through the earth realm, you weren't either or. You just were. Like an atom, that whole thing, but they split the atom, right? Atum, the creator God, right? When man and woman come together, that's what I was getting to. When man and woman come together, that's a completion in the traditional set form. They split in terms of procreation and create a kid that's half of them, both, but a complete composite, a representation of the negative, the positive and the negative, the masculine and the feminine, coming together in the earth realm, because that's how it happens in a more physical sense. Most of the time, the man was trying to get close to a woman and the woman was trying to get close to a man. But as people begin to get more comfortable with themselves, and the realm and the society understands what's going on with the spirits inside of these bodies that are fixed to look either or, you start to have a woman that feels like a man attracted to a woman that's just feeling like a woman. It's the spirits that are attracted to each other when people are just focused on the exterior. If you understand the greater spiritual concept of what we're in terms of where the earth is sitting in the universe, you understand that you can't really tell the spirit, that soul in the body, that it can't express the elements of itself that may feel masculine or the elements of itself that may feel feminine, because when that body dies, you go back into the realm of energy and you're not separated anymore. You're complete again. So, I'm gonna stop there and pass the baton.
And I completely agree with you in regards to, the balance and, understanding and recognizing.
Yeah, what's up, D? My screen on my computer had went black. I hope you haven't been in here long.
No problem at all. Yes, indeed. Yes, I was enjoying the dialogue. Yeah, I can't help but I didn't hear Angelica, but I heard you.
Okay.
Yeah, but everything sounds on point. Yes, and go ahead, Angelica. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, no. I was just saying, I agree with Boyd in regards to the balancing of energy and recognizing, as an individual, how you express your energy. Just like he was saying, there's men that come here that feel like women, and women that come here that feel very masculine. And, all that is for their own spiritual experience, for their spirit to evolve and, look past this physical body that we're in and connect to people on an energetic level and recognize, these connections. And I feel that, more and more people are understanding that, and looking past people's physicalness and really connecting and seeing people on an energetic level. And that's why, we're seeing a lot more of, these beings that are wanting to physically change, their physical body to match how they feel on an energetic level. And understanding those people and looking at it from like, oh, no, it's not genetics, it's not, how their environment was raised, it's how they feel, emotionally and on an energetic level, and they want to match that, on the physical level.
And science, since we try to validate everything with science, they try to say, is there a genetic to feel this way? No. Since they try their hardest not to go to a spiritual plane of understanding, because God forbid everyone becomes spiritually conscious, right? Being sarcastic there. They try to do it with science, and it'll never make sense there, because science doesn't even really know what the soul is, what it is, where it comes from. I mean, they should know because our ancestors told us, but we tend to disregard the ancestors and think we know better, but yet we can't do any of the things they did. We judge ourselves off of iPads. like
boy,
shit that, huh?
As you or Angelica broke down from your vantage point what the soul is.
What'd you say?
Had you went in regards to describing what the soul is? Because most people, prior to the show, I asked a couple of people, and they wasn't able to give a definitive answer.
I kind of did. Like, the best way, like, if you study our ancestors, the best way to kind of put it in a vacuum to be able to speak about it is, okay, there's this spark of life, of energy in the universe, right? And our energy, because a lot of times we think only in terms of the bodies. When you see you're made in the image of, right? But that you're made in the image of is an energy. So your soul is an energy that's like an atom, but it's a more advanced conscious atom, and it's whole. So it's a ball of energy, just like an atom, because everything is simply a microcosmic version of a macrocosmic version. It's very simple. I don't know why science act like they don't get it. So if you know that everything cosmic version of a macrocosmic version, when you find an atom, when they're playing with atoms, creating bombs and all of that, you understand that, okay, everything is an atom, but the atom is manifesting in many forms on the plane. A mirror within a mirror within a mirror, right? A micro version of a macro version. So the soul is like a conscious, more advanced atom, which is you. Mm-hmm. That's what you are.
Yes. More than the human part of us.
Exactly. Now, I don't know if you heard me say, when you come through the earth plane, because the earth plane has a set of rules, which is you come through the womb, you're either or in terms of your body. That doesn't mean that your energy is either or, and you're starting to see that now playing out in the realm with people saying, hey, I'm trapped in a male's body. Hey, I'm trapped in a female's body. But ultimately, the total goal is to be a balanced entity. So if you think you're only one thing, no matter which one it is, you're still off balance, because we're supposed to balance. And that's shown with the complete deities left behind, whether it be Christ or Krishna or Buddha. They're complete.
Or Heru.
Or Heru, right? They're complete. I think it would be, wouldn't it be, I think it's Heru. It would also be the green Osiris.
Yes,
too, right?
Yes. True that.
Because
they're one and the same.
That's like, and they're left behind in those drawings to show. And then when it says they had kids or they married this person, they was playing games and tried to say, oh, these people believed in incest. No. Stop playing. We're talking about splitting atoms here. So when that deity, which is Osiris, Zeus, Odin, whoever, meets their consort, which is a complete feminine representation,
the opposite.
Aphrodite, the opposite. Yeah, she's in a female body, but she's balancing the masculine and the feminine. That's why a lot of times you see the king's consort or the queen, she can whoop ass too. It's only in European type, newer kind of romanticized European stories where you see this weak queen that can't defend herself. That never was the case. Even the Greeks had badass women that were rolling side by side with their men that could fight. That's just some new romanticized kind of thing when they started wanting to project this soft image onto the women. You know, you need a man to save you.
That's right. And a hard masculine type.
Yeah, exactly. When the two have a kid, tried to say, you know, this deity's married this deity and had this son. They're talking about splitting atoms, fractalization here, dividing, literally dividing like cells. So the son is only a fraction of the father and the mother. But if he's called, let's say, Ares, the god of war, he's not the best elements of his father. He's not, because Zeus knows when to fight, but knows when to sit back and take a more spiritual, intellectual kind of perspective. When Ares is stuck in that root chakra, he's trying to fight all the time. So that's showing how that balance is to be that Zeus, Aphrodite, that balanced entity that's at the top of the pantheon. Whether, you know, if you're a female, then that means that female top deity, she's balancing, she's there. And if you look in a book like the Encyclopedia of Spirits, you can get that. The Encyclopedia of Spirits. It's not some boogeyman shit. This isn't a Hollywood movie. I'm not talking about ghosts. I'm not talking about familiar spirits. I'm talking about energy templates. They're you know, how they manifest and how that energy acts out. That's what I'm talking about when I speak about the deities here. So if you're a female, essentially we would always look to these, and the male would look to these top figures as the goal of balance. We knew, okay, we're in the body, we're either or, but we have to balance.
And I'd like to add on to it, because that's just the way I think about the whole composition of the soul and how we interact with it. Also, I'd like to mention that in your layout, I can also see how the body of the human is one point of reference. The soul is the secondary, and then there's the spirit, right? But that's the Trinity. I feel that's the Holy Trinity. You know.
Yeah, that's
you can. You know what I mean? Yeah, but only saying that. Yeah, if we look at it beyond that, it's nothing but energy, just like you said. Everything's based on the basic principles of energy. And in order for things to move, it has to be two opposite poles. And with that, that's going to, just the way we start a fire, if you don't have any matches. The only thing you need is a spark. If you can catch that spark, that's life begins, anew. Only saying that we're looking at it from an energetic standpoint, like you mentioned. But I want to disagree to a certain degree in regards to this phenomenon that's taken place in the last 30 years. The amount of people who feel as though they should live on, they're living an alternative lifestyle.
You mean like when you say that, what do you mean?
Well,
just to give clarity so I can understand what you mean.
Yeah, just like with it's been a onslaught really of young people, you know, who happen to be in an environment where their uncles or their cousins coming back from prison, from back in the crack days when the boys, you know, 18, 17, I should say some 16, was in the system, and they stayed in the system for 20 years, you know, and they're coming out, and they already been damaged as far as their sexuality because there's nothing but men in there for 20 years, and they were at their level of what some people call sowing their oats. So from them coming back, that's one of the major reasons, and that there's been a major change in the population of those who have an alternative lifestyle, sexual preference rather. But yeah, you still there?
No, I definitely feel what you're saying, and let me just add my brain perspective to what's going on there too. I'm not saying you're wrong, because what those people are doing, they're stimulating. Remember, we are divided in the flesh. So
right.
We come from a place where masculine and feminine are already one. This is why traditionally all man is doing is trying to get with a woman and connect, and all woman is doing is trying to get to connect with a male. And that reliance on that is the misinterpretation of what one is feeling. I'm not saying we don't need a companion, but that's just a physical representation of a spiritual concept. Meaning the spiritual concept has dominion over that need to be with the opposite sex or an opposite energy in the flesh that you feel like you connect with. You ultimately should be trying to balance your own energetic polarities of masculine and feminine, negative and positive. And you're right. What's happening is those people are stimulating in a sexual way a certain kind of feeling in people that some could take and be confused with, right? Like they're pushing them, they're swaying them in a direction that they may not have moved in at their own accord. Which is I get it. I get it. Because like I said, we're all down here to balance the polarity. This is an individual plight. We like to try to make it some kind of club party. So Forum wouldn't have had man trying to say, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to live here. We all would have been coming in, roaming and doing what we feel like we want to do and trying to balance our polarity so we can transition. So with that in mind, with that in mind, like I definitely understand what you're saying. But, ultimately we have to understand that they're stimulating something that's present. It's latent, but it's present. And some people are going to feel that way naturally, though, because remember, we live in a multiverse. Which means it's multidimensional, and we live in a multidimensional reality. So that means there's going to be multidimensions of how energy expresses itself. So there really is no set way to how we can say all energy must express itself this one way. It doesn't even match universal law. If it matched universal law, if that was the case, the universe would say, hey, things can't float in abundance of black nowhereness. But I do agree with you where I said when you say, like, there's a phenomenon of it being provoked in some, right? Can I say that say that I'm feeling where you're saying in that physical sense, in that physical sense. But again, I me personally though, I'm gonna always jump above the physicality of everything because this is a spiritual journey, an energy journey. So, I also know that, everything is a microcosmic version of a macrocosmic version, and the greater spiritual concepts are acting themselves out in physicality. So yeah, you have someone trying to find balance by getting with another woman. That's just a representation of but also you need to find balance with yourself. And it's not saying be a woman. It's saying articulate and practice and exercise creativity and expression. You know, the Masons know, what is Masonry? To make good men better men, right? The motto, something like that, right? So you know, I don't know if you ever got a hold of it, but that's the thing. Like, you know how in Dave Chappelle they say the Rick James skit, he's on the couch and he's putting his dirty boots on the couch and he's kicking it. He's like, they never should have gave you money. They never should have gave me books, because what happens is that I understand. And in Albert Pike's Morals and Dogmas, in the different degrees, it gets to a point to where they say, okay, now here, initiate of the whatever degree, right? It's time that you start to exercise painting, creativity, music, expression, because man, he knows how to be Joe Macho already. You're off balance as Joe Macho. You just might not know that because the realm don't teach that. It's not saying don't be. Is it not possible to be macho and still express yourself and express the elements that are the opposite polarity? Do you see what I'm saying? See, I'm always going to be. I'm not going to mess with the physical aspect of it, because remember, it's just playing out what needs to be done in a higher form. It's always just playing out. Like that emptiness, that void we feel when we need company, that's a void in your soul. Like, hey, I need your company, person. You need to exercise the other parts of yourself. There's a void here. Can we get some expression here? Or if you're too timid, it's like, hey, you need to stand up for yourself from time to time and exercise some strength. The other polarity. It's not always, you see, a lot of people get caught up. They feel that void of growth needing in their soul, and they go straight for a relationship. And they're still empty there, because you can't count on somebody to give you what you're missing. That physical presence of a male or a female is never going to be enough. We're down here with a greater journey to balance ourselves, to be one with ourselves. And that's why they say when you love yourself, you can love somebody else. When you appreciate yourself, then you can appreciate somebody else.
Then you attract somebody else.
Exactly. But I get what you're saying, D. I definitely do get it. And that's because the realm always takes spiritual things and acts it out in a mundane form. And I'm not saying any one thing is mundane. I'm talking about mundane from where the definition lies. Because, people like to take words and have their own definitions of shit. Mundane means something. Right. It means like a more basic idea of something. The more physical idea original. Like the more physical ideas of the spiritual concepts are all that mankind expresses at all times. So in a time where the feminine is rising, people are protesting and some people are they're too far to the side to where it's like, we don't need a man. But man and woman have to balance and be united with each other on the planet Earth. But we tend to, as human beings, pervert everything in every spiritual like emotion or feeling that we get in us that wakes up. We take it and pervert the message and make it like, no, it means like men need to be on leashes like in Star Trek. Some people are like that. Or man's like, no, women need to be, subservient and covered up at all times. Man and woman are supposed to express themselves independently, but also be able to do it together and be free independently, but also be able to come together.
Yeah, and that's the original within original.
Perspective. Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong, but the reason why I brought that up, I just wanted to make that one little point in regards to that. It's both. I think the time is correct in regards to those spirits coming into the human existence, and I can, just from my base understanding of how spirits interact within our dimension, and when they come making that transition, I see it as though those spirits had to come back to experience the total opposite of what they experienced prior to being here before, in order to balance them out. You see what I'm saying? A man could, just hypothetically, of course, I'm sure you're often following me though. A man who was a abuser of women, abuser of people, abuser of his family. If when his transition, if he has the opportunity to come back to try to, because I see life as a step, as you continue, if you continue to move forward, you're going to be elevating yourself to our existence that won't be on this earthly plane. So
you're completely right, D. Because remember, you keep coming into the earth plane until you figure out that balance and figure out that you've been here to try to figure out that balance. So if you were a man and you were dominant over women, you have to balance those actions out by living it yourself, because you'll never learn that what your views were biased. And it goes vice versa for the female. If you were a female and you were, maybe a little too timid, a little too subservient to the man, you may come in as a man to balance that out in terms of how to live out that action. The thing is, since no one teaches us that that's what's going on down here, and setting ourselves farther away from the goal through getting caught up in the physical, like men should dominate. That's you're caught up. You're caught up. You're missing the point. And you see it. You see it when you look at ascended representations, whether it be purple, right? Okay, purple is the crown, right? I mentioned this in my Panther thing, but I guess I'll do it here right now because it goes. Androgyny is in all of this. The woman is normally speaking from her heart. Some men do it, but they do it in disguise. They hide it, right? They only do it at home with their women, and then they act tough when they're outside. So, but ultimately, the crown is the purple. When you get your crown, right? Royalty, when you think of royalty, everyone thinks of purple because that represents that crown. Like, you can look it up. The queens and the kings of the world, they have crowns with this purple little hat because it represents the crown chakra of ascension, right? But then again, let's look at the colors. What two colors makes purple?
Red and blue.
Anybody know?
Red
and blue.
And green. Red. Oh yeah.
No, red and blue. Okay, so red is what? That's the base chakra, the root chakra, where man is fixed at most of the time. Blue is that throat chakra of vocalization, where the female is always vocalizing from where? Her heart most of the time. That green chakra. Man is normally skipping that green chakra, that heart. He's speaking from his red chakra and his sacral chakra, and he's bypassing the heart and he's using his voice. So when you put the two colors together, though, red and blue, which sit above a lot of growth, right? You got a lot of growth in between those two chakras. What color do you get when you collide those two colors in? Purple, which is the completion. And that's why Christ always, when you see Christ in the stained glass windows of the old times throughout Europe, he has his heart exposed. His heart is in his hand, or his heart is exposed in his chest. See, that was a Masonic way into other people that are initiated in the know that the only way to come to true balance, especially as a male, is by first going through the heart gateway. Because and especially today, everybody is locked out of their heart. People are scared, first of all, because we've been hurt. So traumas locked us out of our hearts. But if we're locked out of our hearts, we're locked out of earning and receiving our crown, which is the balance of the polarities. Why is Christ the King? Because he's worked through the chakra system and he has gone through the heart gateway, is why it's in his hand. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. That ties into the weighing of the heart ceremony. You know,
exactly.
With God being there, Anubis, and Ku, rather. Who else? Heru. They're all there to weighing of the heart, and like you mentioned, the holding of the heart. You know, and when Jesus held the heart, you know, most times I remember seeing like the heart was there. It was like had a halo around it. Yeah.
They're showing them like, yo, the heart is you know Masons, the Mason, the occultist, the wisdom. You know, yeah, it's rooted from systems in Egypt. Systems in Egypt of initiation that were adopted by the Europeans. It still exists. It's just they took it and they used it and show it and bring it to light amongst each other in pictures, and it's hidden in plain sight. You know, people really looked at that heart being exposed and probably was like, why is that heart exposed? But nobody is ever going to tell you why. Nobody is ever going to tell you why the heart is exposed, because you haven't been initiated. You know what I'm saying? And it's a spiritual journey. It's a spiritual journey to speak from the heart, and that goes back to balancing the scales, like you said.
Right. I was about to say, or initiating yourself.
Yeah. Initiation traditionally is a self journey. It's just that
that's right.
In the system, Kim, whatever you want to call it, you know what I'm saying? They wanted to expedite the process, right? Because they were more set on. I'm talking about in the earlier days, not when it was taken over by the priestly class that wanted to create like a divide between masses and priestly class and royalty. That comes later on when things start getting a little perverted. But
broken
ultimately,
down.
Exactly. Ultimately, the reason why, the Germans, when they went there and they saw everything and they thought like, hey, these people were obsessed with death. It was only because we were here trying to figure out how to transition out of the flesh and move on out of this place and quit coming back and getting that baby brain on us and having to go through the traumas all over again. So they expedited the system in the early days of Egypt by initiating people, making sure you can tune people's heart to the right place, just like today, environmental influence tunes people's heart to the wrong place.
Right.
So they were tuning people through initiation, and initiation in itself has been perverted by man, just like man perverts everything, because now you can be initiated and not get any wisdom for years. Or you can just be somebody that's rich enough to pay dues to get your initiations and to physically represent the 33rd degree of getting through from the root chakra up the 33 vertebrae of the spine up into the crown chakra, right? Dying and resurrecting at the age of 33, right? Hey. But anyways, and ascending into that crown chakra. But now it's like, I just want to say that I'm ascended, but I'm not going to really be the spirit of that. To some, not to everybody. But that's just what happens with man. We pervert everything. And I'm not talking about man as in the masculine man. I'm talking about mankind. Mankind perverts everything, and that's part of the problem.
I hesitate to say, but when I think of man in a general term, in these days and times, I prefer to just go ahead and call it the way it is. is it a man or a certain man that's causing this miscommunication, this habit, that's been generated throughout the world for the last few hundred years. But
okay, I got you.
Yeah.
But look at what happened to the Aztecs. I'm talking prior to Spaniards rolling up on the shores. They were cutting motherfuckers' heads off and dropping them down pyramids because they lost their ways. Because mankind perverts everything. The priest realizes he has the power in any capacity and starts to say, hey, we can control the king, the monarch, and say we're the gateway that the people have to come through and kind of keep a shelf life on what's really popping and what people know. So you got, how can the Aztecs get to a place where they're chopping people's heads off, pulling people's hearts out, trying to get a famine to end? When you know that they were conscious at one point of what it was about, they wouldn't have been able to build those structures, and it's left on the wall.
Right.
It was a perversion happened just naturally in that group without any outside influence. Why the judgment came upon their ass.
Right. At the time,
but I feel you. There is a man. No, there is. I'm gonna say man, but I know what you're saying. Like, remember, like good and evil are energies playing themselves out on the planet. Somebody has to play out a role. So I know what you mean. That role, that predominant face of a role. I get it. I get what you're saying. But even within all that, in this multidimensional reality, mankind perverts itself by itself.
Yeah, it's a proper time. But I say that if we look at the clock of destiny, it's proverbial clock that if you know how to read the clock, you know what time it is. Now, during the time when the Aztecs really went berserk, the decline of the ancient African kingdoms, whether it be in Kemet or Egypt or in the Congo, further south, wherever, right? But this was a time when it appears as though the indigenous people of the planet just went to sleep. It's like they start just bugging out, just like, the Aztecs. And, a lot of other civilizations that basically just dispersed or just disappeared. They self-imploded. But it was that time, just like we're moving into the age of Aquarius. And we've spoken about that a number of times on previous shows in regards to how we're moving to a new realm of existence, and it ties into what the subject is about tonight. How our souls have, some people call it androgynous, some people call it electric, because of the interaction between positive and negative energy. So it's like, the time is now. The age of Aquarius. Everybody there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I'm saying, Angelica, where you at?
I agree with both of you guys in regards to, the soul being energy. Energy takes many forms. That's why a lot of people, remember the different things and different beings they have been. And like Boyd said, it's like, we keep on reincarnating so that we can learn, our own vastness, our own, everything and nothing at all. And, when we get to a certain point, and really value understanding, finding that balance, everything seems, like clockwork. It's like everything, we know everything is happening because we're creating it. you know, and just like Boyd said, it's like we are a reflection, you know, of everybody and everything around us. And, you know, to understand, you know, that we are made in the image of the Creator, so therefore we're co-creators. And, you know, to understand, you know, our own vastness, yet our own, you know, smallness is really valuing that balance. It's like I can do everything and then I can do nothing at all. It's really your choice. But to honor that and to use it, you know, for your self-evolution is what we're here to do. You know, we are here to evolve our spirit and our soul, you know, and find that balance, you know, within our own reality. And, you know, understanding that is really accepting that, you know, this is the body that I chose to come into. This is how I choose to express myself. This is how I choose to interact. You know, it's all a choice, but being conscious of the cause and effect of your choices and of your energy is where we find our power. And, you know, how to use it, just like, you know, you guys referenced the Aztecs and how, like, you know, certain cultures throughout the world, you know, became corrupted, you know, because certain beings saw, you know, what their energy did to people, the influence that they had on people, you know, so they used it to benefit themselves, not to actually benefit the growth and evolution of the people, but to get their own personal motives and feel a certain way about themselves, you know, out. And that's why, you know, it self-imploded. And like Dee said, it's like we're entering an age where we as a people, as, you know, mankind and humankind are actually shifting to a new form of mental consciousness and being able to recognize that we are not just this physical being. You know, these beings, or, you know, this physical body is just a reflection of, you know, our higher selves, you know, on this physical plane. And, you know, to use that is a powerful thing. So, you know, it's all a journey. You know, just like Boyd says, like, this is a journey. This is a life experience. You know, we are a soul having a physical experience. And, you know, we came here, you know, everybody has their own reason and their own purpose for coming here. But all in all, it's to evolve, you know, our soul, our energy to that higher level and get our halo, you know, in a sense, so that we don't have to come back, you know, to this physical plane and experience these things on a low, you know, vibrating physical level. And it's a really great, you know, time to be in, you know, but it's also very tragic because it's like with, like we're talking about, it's polar opposites. It's like we can see the beauty and the people evolving their consciousness, but then we also see the other side where people are acting out in a very violent and angry way. And it's very, you know, difficult for some people to deal with. Like, why is this happening? You know, people should be doing this, people should be doing that. It's like, man, everybody's going through what they need to go through. You know, as a whole human experience, we have to look at it as that. It's like the whole planet is evolving, and that takes time, you know, for people to get to. It doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen, you know, in years. It's a whole, you know, individual lifetime journey. And, you know, you, as the individual, make it what you want. You know, and that's why it's like, and that's why a lot of people are saying it's like you surround yourself with the people that you want to be around. And that creates your reality. And it's like in that reality, you're like in your own little bubble. You don't hear about certain things or get in touch with these negative things or what you perceive to be negative because you've created a reality where you don't want to experience that. So therefore you don't experience it. It's happening. You know, it's just not happening in a sense to where it's affecting you, it's touching you, or, you know, that energy is reaching you. And, you know, is very, for me, it's very interesting to see people go through their journey, because it's like I see what they're going through, and it's like I remember when I used to be like that. I remember when I used to be into, certain things, on a physical level, but it's like I'm not like that anymore. I'm a totally different person, than I was last year, than I was yesterday. And to see my own evolution in others, it's like, wow. We are, as a whole collective, we are starting to shift our mental consciousness to a different level, where others, are sinking even lower. And that is the polarity of it. And that's why they always say, like, not everybody is going to make it. Not everybody is going to survive, because it's like when you get to a certain, I guess you say, like, the ascended masters, it's like, not everybody gets there. And only certain type of people who, like Boyd said, have been initiated and done, their own personal work get to experience that, where others, they don't. They continue to relive their lives. They continue to reincarnate in certain systems and circumstances. So,
and you know what, Angelica? You know what? And that's why the best phrase is not everybody will. Hey, D.
Yeah.
You outside? D.
Sorry, I just muted it.
Oh, okay. All right, no problem. The phrase is not everybody will get it this time around. Mm-hmm. Meaning, if you don't get it this time around, you're going to be coming back. It's a given. You might not know it, but in one of the lifetimes, you'll realize it, and you'll get that much closer to getting it, because Earth is always going to be here. They're playing games talking about, the Earth is going to it'll always be here. The only way it goes away is if mankind destroys it. And before mankind destroys it, best believe the Earth will set off some kind of sickness that'll just wipe mankind out. You understand? Because it's conscious. Regardless of what you want to believe from popular belief, it's conscious. That's why, and it's always moving, and it's damn near breathing, and that's why every time they pave the road, another fucking pothole forms. It's not supposed to be there. Let me put cement over your face. How does it feel? Mm-hmm. Doesn't feel good, huh? And for an ever-expanding thing that's contracting and expanding, plate tectonics, right? Earthquakes. Mm-hmm. Oh, he wasn't supposed to know that term, plate tectonics.
it's like that. I learned about plate tectonics like back here in elementary school. It's like they don't even teach that mess anymore. It's like what is that?
Yeah, you know how the high horse come into an arena. I'm corporate. Yeah. They're talking about spiritual concepts. What does it mean for me? I have a 401k. But it's like anyway. Soon enough, you're going to be back and you'll realize that none of that shit mattered. And the only thing was, the only goal which your ancestors left behind was to stop coming here, to stop playing the game. It's a universe. And the very thing that you value in the society, university, is the root word comes from universe, which means the concept of university comes from universe, which means they know this is a school, the universe, and they've painted the university based off of that. What's inside of the university? A collective of minds that have information with intent to share and teach. The universe, a collective of planets that have energy imprints and energy imprints that manifest, where there you learn a certain kind of lesson. Earth is a very division-based plane. That's what the game is here. You versus me, them versus them, white versus black, gray versus white. It's like, negative and positive, female versus male. I'm better than you. This, that, the other. It's a very childish realm. It's like, come on. Like, can we just, stop now? We're all on a ball. We're trapped. We're stuck with each other. Are we ever going to wake up and realize that we look like fools here? with this thing here. I mean, like, you know, I've said this before. You know, it's not true, but I mean, and in regards to us being the only like conscious life in the universe, because universal law and atoms in itself shows you that's impossible. Atoms aren't just dividing and splitting on planet Earth. We're not that special, right? We're only excuse me, I'm eating, so we're only a representation of. That was crazy, right? I'm like, we're only a representation of what's below, of what's below, as above, so below. So there's no way in hell that the same universe isn't manifesting and dividing itself on another planet and creating these same representations of its form in a microcosmic form. There's no way. Science knows this. They know this. So but my point was, you better hope that another kind of lower chakra entity isn't floating around with advanced technologies that are far greater than iPads and self-driving cars. and they have self-driving ships with iPads, and they don't find their way here because a divided people are easily conquered. And I'm talking about a divided people on the planet.
Yeah.
Mankind. It's going to be easy. It's going to be like 3 seconds. You're going to be fighting about who gets to lead the charge down here, you know, and they're going to be like, oh, my goodness, this is going to be easy. They don't even know how to live on one planet together. How absurd is that? How absurd is that? You know, but, you know, sorry, y'all. Don't y'all. But I'm human. Human burp. Don't act like you don't burp. Don't even act like you don't burp. You know somebody. I'm talking about you, Angelica. You know the people that be acting like they don't burp, right? You know, like
or like poop, or pass gas.
I don't burp. I don't burp. My room is filled with leather-bound books, and my floor is made of mahogany. You know, like the Anchorman. But anyways.
But yeah, it really is, you know, interesting to see like how much, you know, they put in, how much energy they put into, you know, making these programs on like how to separate people, you know, and putting them into, like you said, different categories, different this, different that. You know, it's always breaking it down to separate people and, you know, give or to place one above the other. And it's like when you understand energy is equal. It's like your energy is not better than my energy. Just like, you know, my energy isn't better than Dee's or yours. You know, energy is energy. That's what it is. You know,
it's just some are going to express themselves in maybe a wholer form because they've been doing individual work, but ultimately everybody has the same capacity to grow too. Yeah.
And that's really, you know, the message that all religions, you know, if you want to say it to religious, are saying is like you have the same power as the God. You know, you were created in God's form, you know, whatever you want to call it. You know, you have that same power just like the person next to you does, you know, but it's just ultimately up to you to do that spiritual work and tap into yourself and grow, you know, and understand, you know, your purpose, you know, what it is you came here to do, you know, and what you want to do. And it's that understanding, you know, that gives rise to this whole androgynous energy. Is like you are not male, you are not female. When it comes to energy, you're both. It's just, you know, an expression, you know, what you choose to express yourself, you know, how you choose to put out that energy and, you know, put into the world. And you can do both. You can be masculine, you can be feminine. It's all, you know, your expression. So, very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Dude, have you seen? Okay, it's crazy. It's crazy that we're talking about androgynous, androgyny of the soul, and like there's this movie coming out. I keep on seeing this preview, and it's called Every Day, right? Basically, the concept is this chick is in love with a guy or a person. I'm gonna say a person who changes bodies every single day. So the story is based off of this woman who is in love with this person who changes bodies every single day.
So
could be a male, could be a female, could be a.
Is he jumping into? Is his consciousness jumping into different bodies, or is he shape shifting?
I think his consciousness is jumping into different bodies.
Oh, okay.
So it's like every single day it's a different person. It's a different physical body, but this woman recognizes the energy of this being, and it's crazy that we're talking about this and they have this movie coming out.
And that's just a clever way of a writer using concepts of reincarnation to create a story in a vacuum, meaning a story in a microscope, like this story. That's all. And it's hidden, and that's the thing. Some people are going to miss that and be like, oh my gosh, it was so cool, the man was jumping in and out of bodies, but ultimately that's just the representation of reincarnation in a mundane form and in a more close to home kind of way of thinking about it. And since people know spirit possession, one is more, the mass can more accept such a thing like a person's consciousness jumping in, even though it's still going to be a shock factor. But it seems no different than being John Malkovich. Have you seen being John Malkovich? Being John Malkovich, they find a portal D into John Malkovich's fucking consciousness. So they go down this portal and then they see through John Malkovich's eyes. And eventually, one of the guys who's a puppet master figures out how to start controlling John Malkovich, and he pushes John Malkovich into the subconscious, the sunken place, y'all. Everybody know about that movie. He pushes John Malkovich into the sunken place, the subconscious, where he's able to take over John Malkovich's body and control it, because the subconscious is the realm of the things not remembered. It's where you and all your past lives are suppressed and supplanted. And the only way, like we talked about in the past show of the astral realm, to get those past life remembrances, if I can say that word, forefront of your consciousness, to remember some of the things that you've experienced in these past lives, is to tap into the subconscious, your sunken place, y'all, so you can see those visuals. And how you do that is through the astral realm in the dream spaces. And for a more conscious representation of such, I'm going to use the Black Panther, because everybody, they know what's hot right now. And in the Black Panther, when he's crowned king after his father died, they submerge him into this sand where he goes into a dream state where he meets his father, who is deceased. And they tell the people before they get submerged into this sand that you're going to the realm of the ancestors. Why are they submerged? Because it's a symbolic representation of submerging into your subconscious, where you can talk to your ancestors, because the ancestral realm is the realm of the subconscious in the astral plane, which is also the dream realm. So there you go. You see what I'm saying? And it's always shown. It's just no one's going to, the bad movies say you're about to go into the subconscious realm where you can talk to your family and this is what humans can do and blah, blah, blah. Only bad movies talk in dialogue the storyline. Like, I don't want no more trouble, guy. When you come live with me, you better be good. See, a good movie is going to have the dad go pick up his son who just, maybe the mom had custody. He was a troubled boy. And now he's picking up his son, and he's going to go live with his son. And through visuals, You're going to see the boy act out at times in that tension between the father and the son saying, you know, I'm fed up, and he's running away. And then the dad's finally going to say, you're going to have to get your act together. Only bad movies are going to say, when you come live with me, I don't want you acting up. You better be good. Only bad movies tell the story through dialogue. Good movies just show you pictures that takes a deeper eyesight to see struggles between the individual characters at any given time through action and less dialogue.
Good point.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, they can definitely tell us. So many movies out now, other than the Black Panther here recently, have been in a direction where you can almost imagine what the plot is going to be from sequence to sequence of the movie. Good movie, you got to look at it. You got to really pay attention.
Yeah, you gotta pay attention, and if you have knowledge of spiritual concepts, you'll see how, because most writers have to study mythology to figure out how to put together a story. Because the story, how to tell a story, it's already been told. Kemet did that with Heru. So that story is being repeated over and over and over again.
Your phone's getting
the hero,
choppy.
The villain, the damsel, such and such, these stories. But, you know, what's happening is you're implanting, the writers are implanting other things they're knowledgeable of. Oh, you can't hear me?
Oh, you think you can hear us? Yeah, you're cutting out again.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Now
you hear me?
Now,
okay.
Yes.
I don't even know what I'm saying. I don't even want to finish because I was like, I don't even know what I'm saying. Because I'm not saying shit that's premeditated. You know, it's just flowing. So when I stop, it's like I lost the stream because I'm just riding a wave.
Yeah. But you know, like I said, the movies that are coming out now, you know, they're getting more intriguing in regards to, you know, deeper meaning. I mean, just that movie that I mentioned, The Black Panther, and now they're going to be coming out with A Wrinkle in Time, and it's just like these movies are, you know, telling you a lot of information, but you have to be aware of those subliminal messages, you know, what they're really trying to hint and show you. You know, they're not just for entertainment. You know, they have deeper meaning, and like they release these movies for a reason, you know, and it's really up to the individual. I don't want to say individual, but people to really dig deeper and see what they mean. Because it all has, you know, especially the bigger movies, you know, they put a lot of time and effort into that, and it's like it's all for a reason. They want you to believe a certain thing. They want you to feel a certain way or perceive something, you know, in a particular mindset. So, you know, it's just interesting to me, you know, to see what's going to be coming out even more this year, because this is just the beginning of the year. It's like summer hasn't even hit. They haven't even talked about, like, summer movies, and summer is, like, really when they release a lot of movies. But I do gotta go see Black Panther. I mean, I'm gonna see it eventually, sometime.
I got that Black Panther Decoded video out right now, y'all, and it's on the Take the Night page. Can you hear me?
Boy, please.
Nobody can hear me, right? Can you hear me? Hello? Can you hear me? Hello? Hello? Can y'all hear me? Hello? 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 Can y'all hear me? Hello? You can hear me? So, D. Angelica? Yo, I don't know what just happened. And it seems like everybody hung up or something.
I'll take the night, 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 I'll take the night. 'Cause you have a heart that's divine, deserving you all, girl, you're mine. Eternity's ours, yeah, you're mine. We'll live our lives, I'll take the night.